Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the FinTech Hunting Podcast. We have an incredible guest for you today. He's a top social selling voice, thought leader, social media expert, top 40 under 40 mortgage pro, and now we can add to the list co-author Dan Smokoska, founder of Win Social. Dan, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it. Good to be here, my friend. Good to be able to chat with you today.
It is great to have you on the show. You and I have known each other on social for quite some time. We were both just recently part of the Rethink Everything, the Green Book project. It's over my shoulder, and I will dive into that in a little bit. But tell everyone a little bit about your background. You've got a ton of mortgage marketing experience. Tell our listeners who maybe don't know you a little bit about your background.
Well, I've been in the mortgage industry for a little over 12 years now. Started off originating loans and found out that I really didn't enjoy that too much. I liked the originating part. I didn't really enjoy everything after. So I tell people all the time, it's like the 30 days, 15, 20, whatever days after you get a loan in and locked, man, all of the things that could go wrong, all the stress that comes with that, it just wasn't for me at the time of my life. And so, I got a few years of experience, enjoyed my time there, made some incredible connections, but moved and transitioned into the marketing side of things where, hey, all I do is originate loans for other people. So it's been fun, man. But I've led some marketing departments for some retail mortgage outfits. I've been part of some of the biggest mortgage companies in the country, and as of 2023, I founded a company called Win Social where I help loan officers win business through social media. So it's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, we're going to dive into that a little bit as well. But tell me then, what do you see as the current state of mortgage marketing, specifically as it relates to social? Are people still, in your mind, very apprehensive? Are people doing videos as much as they should? What's holding them up? Give me kind of your
Yeah.
view of it from a filter or a lens of a marketing and social perspective.
I think there's a I think there's a sort of a transition happening. It's been happening for a little bit, but I think there's an understanding that social media is a huge opportunity, in that really you have to get involved with it in some shape or form. I think the barrier to entry is pretty tough, and maybe it's not necessarily tough. It's just like, where do you start? How do you start? Um, when we talk about, you mentioned video content is like an incredibly effective tool. All right, and for a number of reasons, but it helps people, see your personality, hear you speak, see your mannerisms, etc. It's a huge tool for building trust, and you know, but when you think about all the things that go into creating a video, I mean, if you've never done it, you have to figure out what to say. You have to, be willing to talk in front of a camera and then see yourself on the recording, right? You have to figure out how to edit the video. And then you see a bunch of videos online, and you don't know how to get the captions at the bottom, or you don't know how to do the transitions or put music in. And then if you figure all that out, then the question is, where do I post it? And so I think there's a big transition in that people know and loan officers know that they need to. They just don't really know how to go about it. And so that's ultimately what I've been trying to solve.
Well, and I think you're dead on. And they worry about what kind of camera should I use? Do I need a camera? Do I have lighting? What about sound? I mean, the list could go on and on. And I always try to tell people quit overcomplicating it. You're getting paralyzed by it. Just start simple. Grab your damn camera, your phone. Everyone's got a
Yep.
phone. You try to have some decent light and you try to have some decent sound, but
Yeah.
that's really about what it takes. So let's go into a little bit. You wrote an incredible chapter. I love it because you had so many practical takeaways. And the first thing I want to address is you talk about your win framework, right? Walk me through the win framework and why you think that helps get loan officers kind of off the fence, off the bench, and into doing social.
Yeah. So, really, in my opinion, The success that somebody can have on social media boils down to a couple pieces, and it's creating content, and it's like I like to say, networking like hell. All right, like just aggressively going out and building relationships. Now, when I say aggressive, sometimes people can get confused by that. All right, so what I don't mean by aggressive is I mean go and hound people and not build relationships the right way. All right, and so what I do mean by that though is that a lot of the old school loan officers, I get this a lot. I'm an old school guy, Dan. I like to go out and shake hands and meet people and get to know them and go do coffee and all those things like that. And my answer and reply to them is I'm an old school guy too. I mean, I get it. Like relationships happen face to face with shaking hands, with doing things together, sharing, swapping stories, all those things. I was like, but the difference now is that you just have to take your old school self, who you are in real life, in person, and just bring it online. You don't have to do things different. And so get online and be you. And then what I tell people is that the cool thing about it is that the old school way, while still effective, is only a 1-to-1 ratio. You're only able to
Right.
have your conversation amplified to one person. When you jump on social and you begin to engage and you begin to create content, speak a message, you are able to have conversations and build trust at scale. And it's just the smarter way to work. And so instead of that 1-to-1 ratio, now you're reaching, 100 people, 500 people, 1,000 people or more with just one message. So it's huge. So that the framework is built upon creating really good content and engaging effectively with your audience. So
Love it. So let's break that down a little because content is another thing, and I talk about content quite a bit. I think a lot of people struggle with content. What do I say? And then they get started, and all they want to do is talk about mortgages nonstop or rates or something like that. So, talk to me about when you say write valuable content, how do you help your loan officers understand what is valuable content and how do they humanize it?
yeah, yeah. It's a great question. Valuable content is different for each person. And so the trick is identifying who it is you're speaking to. Because if I am an investor, right, if I like to purchase properties that I'm going to try to rent out and be a landlord of, my needs and my value, what I define as value, is going to be way different than if I'm a first time home buyer and have never purchased a home before. All right. And so the value matters and is different for each person. And so the starting point is if you want to create valuable content, you got to figure out who you're speaking to. And it's scary when you start because what loan officers want to do, and understandably so, is they want to be able to, they say that I have a product and this product can help anybody who wants to buy a home. Anyone. So I got
Yep.
anybody in the world I can talk to. Um, and so they think that the product is for everyone. And while it can be, a message to everyone is a message to no one. And it's a general marketing rule and it's extremely true. And so what I mean by that is if you look at the person who is actually purchasing, it's not a black and white deal. It never is. They've either purchased before or they haven't. They either want a bigger house or a smaller house. And so, you know, these little details matter. And the reason they matter is because those borrowers, the potential buyers that they're dealing with all have pain points that need to be solved. And if they want to go and find the right person, they're going to go to the person who speaks their language and solves their specific problem. So let me go back to the investor versus the first time home buyer. If I'm a first time home buyer, I'm probably worried about down payment. I'm probably worried about the process. I don't know what all goes into it. And if I'm an investor, I probably know what I'm doing pretty well, especially if I'm a seasoned investor. So those look much different. The content that you create is going to be wildly different for each of those categories.
Well, I think you make such a good point because I don't think people take the time to understand the target audience. And for the reason that you stated, well, everyone could benefit from a loan. Okay, but when you're marketing to them and you're trying to grow relationships on social, you have to have targeted messages to those groups. And it doesn't mean you can't have multiple target audiences, but to your point, that investor message is completely different than what you're going to say to a first time home buyer. And so if you don't take the time to do that, it's going to hurt them. What's one of the other things that I'd love to really ask you about and how you would respond is how do you then help them bring their brand and how do they humanize it? How do they make it personal so it's not all mortgage, 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 buy my product, buy my product. You mentioned in there don't sell. So walk me through what does that not selling look like while you're trying to foster and grow these relationships?
Yeah, I want to give a secret away right now, and that secret is that nobody cares about mortgage products. They don't. Underwriters, product specialists, loan officers, they care about products because they're able to fit the person into a deal that works. What a borrower wants is not a mortgage product. They want the home, right? They want the
Yep.
end result. And so, for you as a loan officer to really focus on a product is not focusing on the thing that's most important to your audience, regardless of what bucket they fall into. They want the money. They want to be able to close on time. They want the home. They want the Christmas around the fireplace, with their family. And so it's taking a different angle and a different view from the same topic, right? All right. A mortgage product is a really powerful tool to help accomplish a goal. And so let's not talk about the product and let's focus on what that product delivers. And instead of going into bullet points of LTVs and DTIs and all these things, you can go into the things that really matter to the person. And that is like, this is the result that it brings. And so in order to like humanize it, you're relating to that person, you're speaking their language at their level, and you're trying to make it understandable. And that's an important piece too, right? I think it's, if you're listening to this right now, this is one piece of advice I think that's really important, and it's that most like content or copy that is written, and really even if you're like speaking on a video on social media, it needs to be around a fifth grade reading level. This is a proven grade of understanding where if it gets anywhere really higher than that, it becomes a turnoff for people reading. So making sure that it's very understandable is a huge piece, and it helps humanize you and makes you make sense. So I think those pieces are valuable. I think it's absolutely a direction that loan officers should start switching their mindset and view on.
Well, and keeping it simple, like you say, is so critical. We get caught up in a lot of mortgage jargon. We get caught up in a lot of acronyms. Just send me your VOE. They don't know what the hell a VOE is. First time home buyer doesn't know what a VOE is. So
Right.
let's quit using a lot of those terms that they don't understand and keep it simple. I think that is great advice. And then what I love that you did is you ended your chapter giving people basically a formula, a point system. Talk to me about the point system because it's one of the most practical tips I've seen when people are like, well, Michael, how much should I post? How many times should I do my content? What should I do? You mean I got to reach out to this many people and walk me through your point system because I think that's something that people can very easily say, oh, I get it. I got my 20 points today.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's the idea came just to simplify my life and make the I would say the art and the daily job of going out and engaging with the right audience on social media, make it make more sense. And so that was sort of the reason this came into being. And so the way that it works is pretty simple. All right, if you can do math, if you can add numbers, you can do this point system. And so the idea is that um, this is again the focus completely on engagement. All right. So engagement being likes,
Yep.
comments, interacting with someone on someone else's post or with somebody else in somebody else's post. And so that's one of the most valuable things you can do to build relationships on social media. And so the goal is, let's get 20 points a day. And what do those points look like? Well, there's a number system associated with the value of your engagement. And so the engagement for, if you like a post, right? All you do is press a button and like a post. It's so easy, right? Like anybody can do it. Shows your support. It's sort of the entry level engagement method. And so you get 1 point for liking. If you comment on a post, you get 2 points. If you DM somebody, which stands for direct messaging somebody, like you go on their social profile, direct message them, say something like, "Hey, I loved your post, incredible insight." You're not selling them again; you're just supporting them. That's going to be 3 points. And then, if you jump off from there and go to maybe a Zoom call or something like that, to take that relationship even a step further, give yourself 4 points, right? Like, so these are the points, and then you can get your 20 points however you want. And to be clear, it doesn't have to be 20 points. Start with 5 points. Start with 10 points. Get up to 50 points a day if you're like really feeling it and want to continue. Like, it's not the number, it's the commitment, and it gives you a target to hit each day. And so you could get 20 likes and you meet your goal. You could get 10 comments and you can get your goal, or you can make a mixture of all of the above and hit that 20 points, and you got 20 points of engagement for that day, and you can then move on. That could be knocked out in 5 or 10 minutes. And so if you do that over the course of a week, a month, a year, the amount of goodwill and relationships and growth you will see from your account will be just unrecognizable by that time.
I love it. It's a simple, practical tool that people can use, add up the points. It gives them clear focus and intention each day. Absolutely love it. I'm so glad you shared that. People, go check out his chapter in the book. He's got a lot of great nuggets of information. Dan, where do you see, I mean, you've got so many great tips. Where do you see things going the rest of this year and into 2025 for loan officers and social media and video? Where should people really be spending their time and attention?
Yeah, I think if you know me, which you'll know, this won't surprise you. I'm a big LinkedIn guy, but I think there's a lot of value there, not just B2B, but also reaching borrowers and consumers there. Um, and but all platforms have the ability to build relationships. And so when you look at specifically, if you look at the chapter in the Green Book that I wrote, those are all things that you can apply to any social media platform. And so,
That's right.
engagement, building trust, and building real relationships is going to be huge. But video content is the present and the future. And so being able to get your face consistently in front of people is huge. And so, again, you've heard me say this a lot. If you know me, there's a psychological principle called familiarity bias, and that is simply states that the more someone sees you, the more they trust you. And so when somebody is afraid, they come to me and they say, "How many times should I post? I don't want to overdo it." I say, go for it. Like, post as often as you want, because the more that people see you, the more they are going to trust you. And then when the time comes that they want to do business with somebody, you will be the person that is on their mind. And so video is an incredible tool to be able to accomplish that. And so, if you ever are trying to get into the game for video content, you can always visit winsocial.com. We have a ton of resources for you, video content for you. We help you get into that video marketing game pretty easily. But I mean, the mortgage industry there's a shift happening, and
There
there's a lot of
certainly is.
companies out there that are going to come up that are going to be doing video content and helping with that as well. So find a company that exists, and get with them, because they're making the process so much easier for loan officers to get into this video marketing game in the easiest, simplest way possible.
Dan, you have so many good and, more importantly, practical tips. It's not just theory. You've used them. I've seen you do it very effectively. There's great tips there. We could go on and on. You are welcome back anytime. What's the best way if somebody wants to get a hold of you, if they want to find out more, if they want to further this discussion, what's the best way that they can contact you?
Well, they can get me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I am active all the time. I respond to my DMs very quickly, and you can get all the information for my website and my newsletter and all that stuff straight from my profile page. So, would love to connect on there. You can always reach out to me at dan@winsocial.com as well. I will respond to the inbox and the old school email as well. But any of the social platforms, I'm happy to connect.
Dan, thank you so much for your time and insights on this episode of the FinTech Hunting Podcast.
Thanks.